The UN bats for diplomacy and talks between Israel and Iran. UN Chief António Guterres has said that US bombing of Iran nuclear facilities marks perilous turn in a region already reeling. In fact, UN Chief goes on to say that the conflict must be halted and return to serious, sustained talks on Iran nuclear program. He also said that credible, comprehensive, verifiable solution is what is needed currently, including full International Atomic Energy Agency access. He also said that Iran must respect the Non-Proliferation Treaty and that Iran should respect all that is mentioned in the treaty, and UN is ready to support any and all efforts towards a peaceful resolution. Pranay Upadhyay continues to stay with us, but before that, let's listen into some reactions on this.
The timing, nature, and the scale of Iran's proportionate response will be decided by its armed forces. Throughout history, the resilient and united Iranian nation has withstood deeper wounded and faced more vicious enemies, and this time too. It will show its dignity, strength, and greatness to the world.
Iran has long obfuscated its nuclear weapons program and stonewalled good faith efforts in recent negotiations. Madam President, the time finally came for the United States, in the defense of its ally and in the defense of our own citizens and interests, to act decisively. The Iranian regime cannot have a nuclear weapon. Let us be clear. Iran should not escalate.
You cannot ignore that diplomacy was tried over and over. The United States led that effort. Many nations here in this room engaged in diplomacy with determination and good faith. But the regime in Tehran had other plans. It used the negotiating table as camouflage, a delay tactic, a way to buy time while building missiles and enriching uranium.
And my colleague Pranay Upadhyay continues to stay with us. Pranay, strong message coming from the United Nations saying, and in fact backing diplomacy and saying that the fighting must be halted in a region that is already reeling. In fact, one more point, significant point that has been made by United Nations is that Iran must respect and follow the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Could you give us more details and context?
Anjali, absolutely. United Nations Security Council emergency meeting was convened yesterday. It was unusual that on a Sunday evening the United Nations Security Council met, but all the key players only tangled on their own national positions and accusing each other, because that thing happened beyond words. Because United Nations Security Council Secretary General António Guterres made a statement that if this continues, then the world will get into the rat hole of destruction. While on the other side, the Rafael Grossi, who's the IAEA chief, he also said that if the window for diplomacy closes, then violence and destruction could reach unthinkable levels. But keeping in this, in this context, Russia, China wanted to have a resolution because, however, they could not agree, and the permanent members and the non-permanent members could not agree to have a resolution, and therefore it did not yield any result per se, because we do not get any resolution which put any binding condition on the parties which are at war right now. As far as the U.S. position is concerned, the U.S. You heard the U.S. Charge d'Affaires of in UN, Dorothy Shee, and she clearly said that the U.S. defended its own national interests and as well as the security interests of its allies. So clearly, the UN meeting could not yield the desired result what world expects at this point of time. Iran clearly accused U.S. and Israel to carry out these destruction and violation of not only the UN laws but also the NPT clauses, because in NPT there is a mention in clause 10, and Iran cited that clause 10 that if the nuclear facility of an NPT member state are being targeted by any other state, then the state reserves the right to get out of or the withdraw its membership or the participation from the NPT, and therefore the Iran also threatens to take the appropriate measures to defend its territory and its sovereignty.
Right, Pranay, thank you for that context, but do stay with us. And let's also listen into what UN Chief António Guterres said.
The bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. We must act immediately and decisively to halt the fighting and return to serious, sustained negotiations on the Iran nuclear program. We need a credible, comprehensive and verifiable solution, one that restores trust, including with full access to inspectors of the IAEA as the United Nations technical authority in this field.